Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, Facebook. What's going on? It's your girl Judy, aka Juju from One Life Physique. And this afternoon, I have the esteemed pleasure of standing here with Mr.
Pierre from Solomon Firearms Training. We're here. We're happy to partner with OLP, and we're going to be demonstrating some of the things about firearm safety and what you're going to be seeing and teaching in your classroom.
All right, perfect. So I know you guys are not used to seeing all this heavy equipment here in One Life Physique. So we have Pierre who's going to be teaching classes. Can you let them know what day, time, and the prices and how that goes?
Yeah, the next class we're going to be holding is going to be July 22nd. It's going to be the NRA Home Firearm Safety course. Basically, it's a general overview of all the different firearms you have out here. So you'll have semi-automatic pistols, you'll have revolvers, you'll have rifles, and basically it's a broad introduction of all the different types of firearms out there, how to be safe, the laws, when to carry, not carry, how to get your license to carry, how to purchase firearms. We're going to be covering all that aspect in the course on Saturday, July 22nd.
All right, so Pierre, we're going to talk about the dangers. So how are we going to maintain the safety of the individuals in our class? Because this is kind of scary. So how are we going to maintain the safety of the individuals in class?
Well, yeah, so safety is the primary concern, right? You can only have fun with firearms if people are safe. So one of the basic things that you can do to maintain the safety is making sure that all the firearms are clear and don't have any ammunition.
So these are not real, right?
No, they are real firearms, but they're not loaded. So what you see right here, you have a magazine that has no ammunition.
Okay.
You also have the slide that's locked open, which allows you to look to see if there's any ammunition in here and inside the chamber. So if there was going to be a bullet, it would be inside of the barrel.
Okay.
So one of the ways to see if the barrel is clear is by taking a cable lock, and then if you run it through the barrel, then you know that the firearm is clear, because if there was a round inside of the barrel, it wouldn't be able to go all the way through. So one of the things that I do whenever I start a class is I go and I visually and physically inspect each and every single firearm to make sure that it's clear. So that's the first step, is making sure that there's no live ammunition. And what you'll notice right here is during the class, we're going to use what's called dummy rounds. So dummy rounds, they're fake bullets which allow you to train and make all the mistakes that you do in a class without having to, hurt anybody. So it's kind of like a car without an engine, right? So these dummy rounds, they don't have anything inside of them. They're completely empty. You can squeeze the trigger, and then all it does is it allows you to train with the firearms without having the dangers. Of course, in the class, right, after the classroom portion is done, we are going to go to the range and shoot, and that's where we will trade the dummy rounds for live ammunition. But during the classroom training, there's never any type of live ammunition involved or anything like that.
Oh wow, so we can expect to go to the actual shooting range and shoot?
Yes, you guys will be able to go to the range and shoot. That's part of the course fee. Everything is provided. We provide all the guns, ammo, training equipment. We have the ear protection, the eye protection. All of that stuff is provided for you, and it's all included in the course. So we try to make it really easy to get people introduced to firearms and make sure that they're safe and they have a good time.
So what are the things that we're going to talk about in class? Like, what can we expect aside from all that? Like, what are we going to talk about?
Well, we're going to talk about the safety rules. So first thing, whenever you want to pick up a firearm, right, you always want to make sure that the firearm is pointed in the safe direction. What you don't want to do is you never want to take the gun and point it at people that you don't intend to shoot. So we're going to go over the safety rules, right? So you want the firearm pointed in a safe direction. You want your finger off the trigger. So the only way this gun is gonna fire is if you squeeze the trigger, and then that could potentially make a round go off.
So what happens with this little dummy inside of there? If you
well, absolutely nothing. It's completely empty. So let's say I were to take this dummy round, right, and I would load it into the magazine. So the magazine is your feeding and storage device. That's where you keep all your bullets. And if I were to insert, so the magazine allows you to do all the training. So I'm able to load a round inside the chamber. And if you were to pull the trigger, right, nothing would happen. And that's why people are afraid, like, oh my God, you gotta squeeze the trigger and a round is gonna go off. That's the whole purpose of the dummy round. It allows you to squeeze the trigger, do the dry fire, do all the skills and training that you need without the dangers of potentially firing off a round.
Okay.
So so that's why we made sure all the firearms are clear, right? We checked the magazine, and if there was a round inside the chamber, right, it would either pop out like that, and you can also look and see if there's a bullet in there. So you can look in there and then you could visually and physically see the round. Okay. That's why we talk about checking all the firearms before you train with them. So we teach you how to load the magazines, right? We'll talk to you about the different type of firearm types. So this is a semi-automatic pistol, right? Meaning the semi-automatic pistol, which a lot of people get those things confused, fully automatic and stuff like that. Semi-automatic means when you squeeze the trigger, only one round fires, right? If I were to squeeze this trigger, a round would fire, and even if I hold on to the trigger, nothing would happen. I would have to release the trigger and then squeeze it again in order to fire. Whereas fully automatic means that if you squeeze on the trigger, the rounds continuously fire. So that's a common misconception people always have, like, oh, we don't want these, weapons of war and all these scary firearms, and it's just inaccurate information. None of these firearms are fully automatic. They're semi-automatic, meaning you have to squeeze the trigger every time you want to shoot. So yeah, so we'll cover the semi-automatic pistols. There's quite a variety, right? So we have.
Can you kind of go through what we have on this table for people so they know what we have?
Yeah. So this is a Smith & Wesson M&P, right? So that's another popular brand. We have here Glocks. So a Glock is another form of semi-automatic pistols right here. They all these firearms work exactly the same way. You have the magazine right here. You have the slide. They all work the same way. These are very popular brands. We also have 1911s. So 1911 is another different style. It's kind of like cars, right? You can have an automatic car, a Honda, a Toyota, all these different manufacturers. It's kind of the same thing. So there are different styles. So basically what we do is we introduce people to all the different type of styles that are out there. We also have double action revolvers. So I know a lot of times, people back in the old days, they watch the cowboy movies. Yeah, the cowboy movies and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we'll show people how to load and unload double action revolvers. And then we also have single action revolvers. Those single action revolvers are a little bit different. The cylinder, right, this part that rotates right here, the cylinder doesn't pop out at all. It's a little bit different in how you load it and unload. And this is a 22 caliber, so there's different types of caliber, right? So the bigger the round, the bigger the recoil is. So some people, they might want to start for 22 and 9mm, 40, 45, right? So when we're talking about those things, we're talking about in reference of the bullet size. So if you look right here, we have a 9mm bullet right here.
Yes.
And then we have a 40. So the 40 caliber is a little bit bigger. And then we have the 38 special. The 38 special would be what would go inside the revolver right here.
Wow, okay.
We have the 45. So the 45 caliber would be right here. We have the 22 caliber, which is smaller. And then we're gonna get into the rifle round. So we're gonna get into the 5.56 round, which is also known as the 223. And then we have some bigger rifles, the 7.62 caliber and the 308.
Wow.
Which is also known as 308. So whenever you hear people talk about 22, 9mm, 40, 45, they're referencing the caliber and the gun. So each gun takes its own caliber type. So for example, right, we have these Glocks right here. They're all the same type, but they're different calibers. We have 9mm, 40, 45. It's kind of like having a car. If you have a V4 engine, V6, V8. So each gun has a different caliber. And
so I couldn't just take this big one and put it in the Glock?
No, yeah, it just wouldn't fit. So if you were trying to take this round and put it inside of the magazine, it just physically wouldn't fit.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't work.
Okay.
If you have to jam it in, it's probably not a good thing. So we show people how to match them up, how to match up the ammunition to the firearm. We talk about the different calibers. We talk about safety. We even have the most powerful handgun here. So Smith & Wesson 500, the most powerful handgun in the world. Smith & Wesson 500.
Oh, wow.
So it shoots a very big bullet. And so it's really fun. They got a lot of cool videos online about that. The other thing that we're also going to talk about is safety, right? So we're going to talk about how to lock up your firearm.
Yes.
So something as simple as this is a cable lock. So if you're at home and you got children, or you got children that come over, little nieces and nephews, you have to make sure that you properly secure your firearm. So something as simple as this, if you feed it through your, so you got a couple of options. So you can go here, right? Whenever you're locking up your firearm, you always want to make sure your firearm is clear, right? You want to make sure there's no ammunition, there's nothing inside of the chamber. So one thing you can do is you can take this cable lock and you can run it all the way through, through the barrel.
Okay.
So when you feed it all the way through the barrel, right? You lock this in right here.
Oh, then it's unable to be loaded.
Yeah, so someone could potentially, like, let's say someone could potentially load rounds into the magazine, but when they let the slide go forward, the slide is not going to close, and then therefore, you know, you can't get around the chamber, nothing can go inside the barrel, and then you would take this and then you put it inside of a case. So if I wanted to lock up my firearm,
I'll be back, guys.
I'll take a case or something like this, right? So I locked up the firearm, then I'll put the firearm in the case. And then you'll notice right here, the case also has openings for a lock. I'll use a lockable container. So if I had, you know, people at home and stuff, I can go ahead, safely secure the firearm, lock the box, and then that way it would, you know, keep it safe from any children or anything like that.
So you're basically saying there's just no possible way that a child can get to the gun without physically unlocking and doing all of that. It'd be a process. So
yeah, and then
safety prevention, guys.
Yeah, and that's why you gotta follow all the rules. So sometimes you'll see, you know, incidents happen. You know, you watch TV, you'll hear the news, somebody gets shot. That's because they didn't follow the rules, right? So on day one, you're gonna learn how to lock up your firearm, how to be safe. Because once you buy that gun, you have to accept all the responsibility that comes with it. The good, the bad, the ugly. Once you buy it, you own it forever. And then same thing with the revolver too. You can go ahead and lock it up. The other option that you have is you could run the cable lock through the magazine well. So the magazine well is the hole where the magazine gets in. And then you can lock it up that way. So someone couldn't load a magazine, right? So if you put the cable lock in through here and you let so you can't take that magazine.
Okay. Because
it'd be physically preventing the magazine from going inside. The other type of locks that you have is called the trigger lock. But some people don't like the fact that you need a key, right? A lot of times people will
Why wouldn't you like a key?
So a lot of people, right, they come home from work and they hang their keys on the hook, right? So if you have your firearm locked up and you hang your keys on the hook downstairs, and then, you know, let's say you have a house breaking at 3 a.m. and you left your keys downstairs, now your gun is locked and you can't access your firearm, so therefore you now got to engage in hand-to-hand combat to get that bad guy out of your house. So if you're not taking any martial arts training or anything like that, that might be a little tricky for you. So what you have here is you have a trigger lock. Basically, you put a combination or a key. They also have key ones where you put the key. And basically what you do is you pull this out right here. Then you never want to have the gun loaded when you're storing it, right? So you don't want to, you know, if there was a round in there, you could potentially fire off a round, which is why you make sure that it's clear. So you go ahead, you take this trigger lock, and then the other half of the component
goes on the other side.
Yep, goes on the other side, and then you push it in. Once you push it in,
it's locked.
You scramble the code, but it's not fully locked all the way. You want to make sure that you get all that space out of it, because you don't want anybody to be able to wiggle it. So you push it in as tight as you can until you don't hear any more clicks. You scramble the code, and then now if a child or, you know, someone you don't authorize to use the firearm, if they try to use it and try to, you know, use the trigger, they don't have any access to the trigger. That's called a trigger lock. So if you wanted to try and like, hey, let me, you know, try to use this firearm. Yeah, go ahead. Just make sure you follow the rules. Keep it pointed in a safe direction. Keep your finger off the trigger. Yeah, so go ahead and attempt and try to, you know, take it off.
Okay. It's impossible. Totally impossible.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Okay.
And then that's the whole point of having the trigger lock. It prevents the access of the firearm from you being able to pull the trigger. Then if you want to take it off, all you do is you put in your combination. Once you put in your combination, then the trigger lock comes right back off.
Okay.
And then you have access. So some people don't like to have the keys. They prefer using a combination. One is not necessarily better than the other. It's all a matter of your preference, right? We all have different lifestyles and stuff like that. You can even store your firearm in a safe, so you can have a pin pad, right? So some people don't even use the cable locks. They have a giant safe, and then they hold multiple firearms in there.
Okay. Now, I know you say that you cater to different groups. I heard you say something about parties. You do parties?
Yeah. So we do all type of events. We do corporate events. We do bachelor parties, you know, team building exercises. We can take a whole group, go to the range. We do women's self-defense courses. So we do have a women's group online called SFT, Women Shooters.
Oh, wow.
So basically, if you want to connect with other women who like the 2A and who are worried about, you know, their self-defense and their family safety, you can join these different types of groups.
Okay.
Available.
And then also, what else do you offer? I know you spoke about creating opportunity for people who are looking for income. How can they use something like this to be able to help them move forward and, you know, create a career for themselves?
Yeah, so we offer instructor courses. So for anybody who's experienced, anybody who has, you know, a deep background in firearm safety and know how to use them, we offer the instructor courses so they could come and they could get certified as a pistol instructor, they could get certified as a rifle instructor, they could be certified as a range safety officer. So if they wanted to work at a gun club, if they wanted to work at a range or anything like that, then they would be able to use those credentials and then, you know, be able to get a job or start their own business or anything like that. Also for security, anybody who's doing unarmed security, right? So if you're doing unarmed security and you're trying to get, you know, into armed security, which, you know, provides more pay, then you can get the training, you can get your license to carry, which would then, you know, mean that you'd get a better job. But yeah, all these firearms, they work the same way. So even a rifle, right? A rifle has the safety. People are like, oh, you know, these guns are big and scary, but they all work the same way. You have the safety right here. So when the safety's on, it has a magazine. The magazine, right, it's empty. They all work the same way. Sometimes people are easily intimidated by the size of things. Yes. But I tell people firearms are like cars, right? I can have a coupe, I can have a sedan, I can have a minivan, but at the end of the day, they all work the same way. Do you think this rifle looks very scary?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
What if I told you that this rifle right here shoots the smallest bullet?
I believe you.
Oh, well, thank you for having faith in me. She has a lot of faith. So this rifle right here, this is the M&P 22, which looks very scary, right?
Yeah.
Out of all these bullets right here, this rifle shoots the smallest bullet on the table.
How much faster is it than the other ones?
The actual pistol rounds are actually faster than it. So you have 22 really? Caliber, yeah. So looks could be very deceiving, right? So all you do, you load these itty bitty rounds. So people are like, oh, these rifles, they're scary, they're bad. Whereas other guns, you know, pistols or something can shoot, you know, bigger bullets. So
oh, wow.
That's why looks can be deceiving. That's why education is important. People have to get trained. They have to get the knowledge so that they know what they're talking about. A lot of times people fear things that they don't know or understand. So when you take the class, you at least get to make an educated decision whether you like firearms, whether you want to interact with them or not, as opposed to just having like a uninformed opinion.
Wow. Okay. Well, anything else that we can share about these guns? I know we have this ear thing and...
They're cool. Yeah, we have the blue guns for when we do self-defense training. So if we're talking about disarming people and stuff like that, we have blue guns. We talk also about holsters, right? Carry concealed. As you can see, I have a firearm on me. So there's different types of holsters you can have. This is for something for like a security officer or a police officer. Okay. So there's different levels of retention. So when we do our self-defense training, we never use the real guns because we don't want someone to accidentally get shot. So we'd be using these blue guns right here. These blue guns are totally fake. They're totally plastic. They, you know, there's no moving components and stuff like that. So when we're doing a self-defense training, then yeah, you'd be able to train while maintaining safety. Because you know, this profession, it has a zero margin of error, right? Somebody gets shot in your class, you're gonna be out of business. So you have to get things right all the time, every single time.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, it's all about bringing, you know, safety and education to our community, you know, getting more people that look like us involved into 2A, getting them, you know, it could be a business venture, it could be a job, it could be a recreational activity, a team building exercise and stuff like that. And I just want to see more people that look like me being engaged in this type of, you know, activity in a legal and safe manner.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Pierre Solomon, for coming to the OLP. Now, we are having a special, how much did you say the class was again?
The class is $130.
$130.
Yep.
Now, we are offering, for anyone interested in also joining the gym or taking a look at what One Life Physique actually is, come check out these guns, right, Solomon?
Yeah, they're bigger than mine. She got more guns than me.
So you can come to One Life Physique and pay $30 for 1 week, a 1 week session with us. And that will give you a discount to be able to pay for the class for $100. Okay.
How much does your 1 week course normally cost?
Our 1 week normally costs about $80. $80 for 1 week drop-in. So right now we're giving it to you for $30 for the month of July and August. If you pay $30 to come in for 1 week, you will then have $100 to be able to pay for this class, which gives you a $30 discount.
So they get a discount for my class and your classes.
What? Winning?
What?
Winning?
That's good. That sounds like a deal with me.
Yes. So Solomon, can you please let them know how they can contact you?
And they can contact me on Facebook. My name is Pierre Solomon. We also have a Facebook page, Solomon Firearms Training. Our website, www.solomonfirearms.com. We're also on Instagram, YouTube. We have some cool videos online, so you can look us up either way. You can sign up through any of those channels, or you can call me at 857-523-0776. You'll get me directly, and I'll be picking up the phone.
Oh, so they can register with you?
Yep, they register through me,
all
online,
right.
through email. It doesn't matter. We do it all.
All right. Well, thank you so much. My name is Judy. You can also reach me on Facebook, Judy Caso, Instagram, Juju Jams. My email is judy@onelifephysique.com. Thank you, and we're out.